Good morning, all. Welcome you all to online STTP on Bloom's Taxonomy, Higher Order Thinking Skills in Electronics and Communication Engineering. Today we are going to discuss about Module 9, Analog and Digital Communication. Myself, Mr. K. Arun Kumar, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of ECE, Savita Engineering College. Let us start with question number 1. So the first question is, the signal m of t as shown in is applied to a phase
Arun,
modulator
Arun,
with kp as a phase constant and to a frequency modulator with kf as a frequency constant, that having the same carrier frequency, what will be the ratio of kp by kf in radians per second for the same maximum phase deviation? In this question, they given that the signal m of t is applied to both frequency modulator as well as phase modulator, and they given two constants kp as well as kf. Now they are asking the ratio of that kp and kf, and this is a given message signal to us. It's nothing but the amplitude is 2 for 0 to 2 seconds, and the amplitude is minus 2 for 2 to 4 seconds. If this is the case, what will be the answer? And that's what they asked. Okay, now we'll see how to solve this. Okay, first let us consider any phase modulated signals should be in the form of AC, that is carrier amplitude, into cos of omega ct plus kp into m of t. So this is for any phase modulated signals. For frequency modulated, so once again s of t is given as AC cos of omega ct plus 2 pi kf integral m of t into dt, and this is two general formula for phase modulation and frequency modulations. Here they mentioned, so the phase deviation is maximum for both the cases. Here the phase deviation is nothing but, here the phase deviation is kp m of t, here the phase deviation is 2 pi kf m of t. This is a phase deviation in both the cases. So we should equate both at the maximum level. So if I equate both the phases, that is kp into m of t is equal to 2 pi kf integral m of t into dt. Now the m of t, I should take the maximum value from the given figure. I know that the m of t maximum value is 2. So simply I can take m of t is nothing but 2 for the phase modulated. Then if I see the frequency modulated, I should do the integral of m of t. So if I do the integral of square waveform, I will get the triangular waveform. Okay, for positive cycle it will be towards upside, that is positive slope. For negative cycle it will be towards down, so it is negative slope. So the maximum value for triangular, that is integral of square waveform, is 4. So we can substitute those values. Instead of m of t I can substitute 2, instead of integral m of t I can substitute 4. Then the answer is kp by kf is equal to 4 pi. The ratio between phase modulation constant to the frequency modulation constant is 4 pi. Once again I explain you, they given two signals, phase modulated as well as frequency modulated. We can take both the signals and we can equate the phase deviation alone to the maximum level. In the phase modulation it is ordinary message, in the frequency modulation nothing but integral of message, and if I do the integral of square waveform I will get the triangular waveform. So the ratio is 4 pi. Next, a message m of t band limited to the frequency fm as a power of pm. Okay, message m of t is a message, it has a frequency fm as a power pm. The power of the output signal in the figure is, okay, here they given message signal, and this is a local oscillator, that is message signal is m of t cos omega naught t, and local oscillator frequency is cos omega naught t plus theta. Okay, and this is your multiplier. Okay, so first after multiplication, that is passed to ideal low pass filter, the cutoff frequency fm and the gain of 0.5. Then there is the output signal. Now they are asking what will be the output of this low pass filter. Okay, here first let us take the multiplier. So for multiplier we given two signals, one is m of t and the other one is from the local oscillator. So the m of t, sorry, the signal input is m of t into cos omega naught t, and the local oscillator frequency is cos omega naught t plus theta. So after the product, after the multiplications, p of t is equal to m of t cos omega naught t into cos of omega naught t plus theta. Okay. Now it is in the form of cos A into cos B. So I can go for the formula, the basic trigonometric formula, cos of A plus B plus cos of A minus B whole divided by 2. So if I do this, I will get 1 by 2 cos theta plus cos of 2 omega naught t plus theta. Now this signal is passed to the low pass filter. We know that the low pass filter allows only the low frequency, it rejects the high frequency content. Now if I look into these expressions, there are two frequencies, here the omega naught, here the omega naught is equal to 0. Comparatively, while comparing this to the first portion as having the low frequency, the higher portion, so the second portion has the higher frequency. So this part will be eliminated completely. Only 1 by 2 cos theta will be allowed inside the filter. Okay. So maybe if I, after passing the signal to the low pass filter, the output of the low pass filter is m of t into 1 by 2 cos theta. Since they are asking the power value, we should do the square. So m square of t divided by 4 into cos square of theta. Now they clearly mention the input power is Pm. So instead of m square of t, I can substitute Pm divided by 4 cos square theta. This is the output of the low pass filter. So the answer is D. Now question number 3, it's a very interesting one. Consider a system shown in figure once again. Let x of f and y of f denotes the Fourier transform of x of t and y of t respectively. Then ideal high pass filter has a cutoff frequency of 10 kilohertz. Okay, so this is the input given signal, x of t is given to us, okay, which has the maximum at -1 and +1, and there is another local oscillator frequency 10 kilohertz, which is given to balanced modulator. The output of balanced modulator is passed to the high pass filter, which has a high cutoff frequency of 10 kilohertz. Once again, the output of high pass filter passed to another balanced modulator, and that has another local oscillator with the frequency of 30 kilohertz. Now they are asking the passed frequencies where YFF spectral peaks are. Okay. Now we will go step by step. It's a very simple one. Okay. Let us first consider the first balanced modulator. In the first balanced modulator is taking two inputs. One is from input x of t, other one is from the local oscillator. We know that the local oscillator frequency is 10 kilohertz, and the input is maximum at +1 and -1. Then the output of balanced modulator is nothing but 10 plus or minus 1, which is nothing but 9 kilohertz and 11 kilohertz, which is passed to high pass filter with the cutoff frequency of 10 kilohertz. So high pass filter allows only the high frequency content, which is about 10 kilohertz. In that case, 9 kilohertz will be rejected, 11 kilohertz frequency will be allowed in a high pass filter. So we can conclude that at the end of high pass filter, we will have only 11 kilohertz signal, 9 kilohertz signal will be removed. Now consider the second balanced modulator. Here I am giving once again 11 kilohertz from the high pass, and local oscillator is giving 13 kilohertz. Once again we know that balanced modulator output will be either 13 plus or minus 11. It means that 13 minus 11 or 13 plus 11, which is nothing but 2 kilohertz and 24 kilohertz. Hope you understand. So this is the first balanced modulator. The input is x of t. X of t is having highest at +1 as well as -1, and the frequency is 10 kilohertz. So the output of balanced modulator may be 9 or 11 kilohertz. Now I am passing both the frequencies to a high pass filter, which allows only the 11 kilohertz, which will blocks the 9 kilohertz. Now that 11 kilohertz once again passed to another balanced modulator with the local oscillator frequency of 13, which is nothing but the output may be 13 minus 11 or 13 plus 11, which is nothing but 2 kilohertz or 24 kilohertz. So the option is B. Now we'll move on to the question number 4. If EB, that is energy per bit of a binary digital signal, is 10 to the power of -watts per second, watt second, and the one-sided power spectral density of the white noise is nothing but 10 to the power of minus 6 watts per hertz, then the output SNR of the matched filter is, okay. And try to understand this. They given a digital data, that is energy per bit is nothing but 10 to the power of minus 5 watts second, and they given the white noise, that is 10 to the power of minus 6 watts per hertz. Now they are asking the output SNR. I will calculate how to find SNR values. And we know the formula signal to noise ratio is nothing but 10 log of EB by N naught, where EB is signal energy per bit and N naught is nothing but eta by 2, where eta is equal to noise power. Here EB is directly given to us, so we are EB is nothing but 10 to the power of minus 5 and eta is nothing but 10 to the power of minus 6. Okay, it is not N naught actually, it is nothing but eta. They mention it as nothing but 10 to the power of minus 6. You can substitute both the values. Then if I minimize these values, I am getting 10 log of 20. Log 20 is nothing but 1.3 into 10, that is 13 dB. So the output of matched filter is 13 dB. So the important formula here we should know is signal to noise ratio is nothing but 10 log of EB divided by eta by 2, where EB is nothing but energy per bit and eta is nothing but noise power. Now these are direct questions. Two resistors R1 and R2 at temperatures T1 Kelvin and T2 Kelvin respectively are connected in series. Then the equivalent noise temperature is, okay. So I am giving this to the participants. If anyone knows, you can answer for this. Two resistors R1 and R2 at temperatures T1K and T2K respectively. The two resistors, they are the temperature T1K and T2K are connected in series. Then what is the equivalent noise temperature? Any answer? Whether am I audible?
Arun, Arun, Arun.
Participants can someone can post in chat box whether I am audible. Thank you. Okay, so the answer for this question is if the two resistors are connected in series with the equivalent temperature, so it is not R1 plus R2 or it is not R1 T1 plus R2 T2, it is not, so it is not like a ordinary electrical resistor. So the answer is D, that is R1 T1 plus R2 T2 divided by R1 plus R2. Now the next one, in communication system, if for a given rate of information transmission requires a channel bandwidth B1 and signal to noise ratio is SNR1. If the channel bandwidth is doubled for the same rate of information, then what is the new SNR value? Okay, and try to understand the question. So they given they are relating channel bandwidth and SNR. Okay, so we all know that the formula which is relating bandwidth and SNR is nothing but Shannon's capacity theorem. So we are going to use that formula here. So here what's the given data is nothing but they are given B1 as a bandwidth and SNR of the first one is SNR1. Okay. Now for the same rate of information, they are not going to change the capacity of the channel. For the same rate of information, they are changing the bandwidth alone to the doubled. Okay. Then what will be the new value of signal to noise ratio? How we should relate the new signal to noise ratio with the old SNR? Okay, and that's the question they given to us. Now we'll see how to solve this. As per Shannon's capacity theorem, we know that the channel capacity C is equal to B into log of 1 plus SNR. Since B is nothing but bandwidth, they given B bandwidth as a B1, so I mentioned B1 here. And signal to noise ratio is nothing but SNR. So they given it is SNR1, so I mentioned SNR1. Okay, simply for the same rate of information they are doubling the bandwidth. Instead of B1 I can go for 2B1. Okay, now instead of SNR1 I can go for SNR2. SNR2 is nothing but new signal to noise ratio. Now I have two equations with the same channel capacity, so I can equate both the things. So B1 log of 1 plus SNR1 is equal to 2B1 log of 1 plus SNR2. I can cancel B1 B1, I can bring the 2 to the left side, so 1 by 2 may become log. So there is a 1 by 2 in the front of log, that may goes to the power, that is root. So from this I understood that the new signal to noise ratio is nothing but square root of the old signal to noise ratio. So SNR2 is equal to square root of SNR1. So the option is C. Okay. Next, the output SNR of a 10-bit PCM was found to be 30 dB. The desired or expected SNR is 42 dB. To achieve this desired SNR, by increasing the number of quantization levels, the new levels will be, okay. So they expected to achieve 42 dB as a signal to noise ratio, but they achieved only 30 dB, and they followed 10-bit quantization level. Okay. Now they are asking to achieve this 42 dB, what is the number of levels I should follow to achieve this. Okay. Now there's a question given to us. Okay. Now for PCM, pulse code modulation, the signal to noise ratio in terms of dB is given as 1.7 plus 6n. Okay, it's a very important formula, that is in terms of dB alone. Okay, 1.7 plus 6n. Now they mention for n is equal to 10, that is for 10 quantization level, that SNR is 30 dB. Now I am expecting to achieve 42 dB. So what must be my quantization levels? Okay. Now we are going to find the value of n. N is nothing but multiples of 6. Okay. If n is equal to 10, I am getting 30. Then if I increase n one more by 1, which is nothing but plus 6. So if n is equal to 11, I may achieve 36 dB. If n is equal to 12, I may achieve 42 dB. If n is equal to 13, I may achieve 48 dB, and so and so. Since my expectation is only 42 dB, so I can stop with n is equal to 12. So if n is equal to 12, I can able to achieve the SNR of 42 dB. It's only number of levels, that is n is equal to 12. They're asking the entire quantization levels, so that must be 2 to the power of n. Here n is equal to 12. 2 power 12 is 4096. So 2 power 10 is 1024, 2048, 4096. So the quantization level we should follow is nothing but 4096 to achieve 42 dB as a SNR. Okay, this is another and straightforward questions. At a given probability of error, binary coherent frequency shift keying is inferior to binary coherent PSK. Okay, by how much? 6 dB, 3 dB, 2 dB, or 0 dB. Okay, so which one is inferior, which one is superior, that we have to find out by how much. Okay, that's the question they given to us. Now to get, and they mention probability of error. Okay, directly go for the probability of error formula. So the probability of error formula for FSK is nothing but 1 by 2 error function of square root of EB by 2n naught. So probability error of PSK is nothing but 1 by 2 error function of EB by n naught. By comparing this two, we may understood that the probability error of phase shift keying is lesser than probability error of frequency shift keying by 2 times. While comparing the probability error by 2 times, the 2 represents the equivalent for 2 is in terms of dB is nothing but 3 dB. that is 10 log of 2. Log 2 is nothing but 0.3. 0.3 into 10 is 3 dB. Okay, so once again I'll explain you. So the probability error of binary coherent frequency shift keying inferior to binary coherent phase shift keying by how much? So they itself mention your FSK is inferior to then PSK. Now they are asking by how much. Okay, we know the error function for both the formulas, so we can write and compare. And from the equations we understood that FSK is superior 2 times than PSK. So obviously 10 log of 2 is nothing but 3 dB. So it is inferior 3 dB than PSK. And next, it's a very simple one. Pulse a PIM source generates 4 symbols: 3 volt, 1 volt, minus 1 volt, minus 3 volt. With the probability they mention P of 3 0.2, P of 1 is 0.3, P of minus 1 is 0.3, P of minus 3 is 0.2 respectively. What should be the variance of this source will be? Okay, if they given values with the probability, it is very easy. We can go for the formula. Okay, first they given discrete samples, so we can take that value x and p of x, that is nothing but minus 3, minus 1, 1 and 3, and the corresponding probabilities they mentioned. So I simply formed the table. From this table I can able to find the variance sigma is equal to expectation of x square minus e of x the whole square. E of x square is nothing but second order movement, E of x is nothing but first order movement or mean. Since the values are equal, that is there is a minus 3 here and there is a plus 3 here, and there is a minus 1 here and there is a plus 1 here. So if I calculate the mean value, obviously the result will become 0, and the reason is the probability is also equal. Okay, or I can say in other words, it is symmetry. So if that is a case, you don't want to calculate the mean value, simply you can assume, or you can take mean is equal to 0, even if you calculate the answer is 0. Okay, so here, so I consider E of x is equal to 0. So it is only job is to find E of x square. So E of x square is nothing but x square into P of x. That's the formula. Summation x square into P of x. So minus 3 whole square into 0.2 plus minus 1 whole square into 0.3. Once it is repeating, simply I multiply it by 2. So then the final answer is 4.2 volt. So this is the variance for the given PAM signal. So the answer is A. Now the other question. A binary source in which zeros occurs 3 times as often as once, then its entropy in bits per symbol will be. It's a direct question. Once again, they're asking the entropy. Okay, and they're given the probability. Only there are two events. The events are maybe occurring 0 or maybe occurring 1. The occurring 0 is nothing but 3 times as likely as the occurring of 1. It's nothing but that, which is nothing but that totally there are 4 possible events. So 3 for 0 and 1 for 1. Okay, so we understood that the probability of occurring 0 is nothing but 3 by 4. The probability of occurring 1 is nothing but 1 by 4. Yeah, the probability of 0 is 3 by 4, the probability of 1 is 1 by 4. And we know that the entropy equation h of x is equal to p log base to 1 by p. Okay, so where p is nothing but probability. There are two different events here, the occurrence of 0, the occurrence of 1 as well. Okay, so first I can take zeros. So the total information by the entropy 3 by 4 log of 1 by 3 by 4, it may becomes 4 by 3, plus the second possible event is 1s. So the probability is 1 by 4 log of 1 by 1 by 4, which is nothing but 4. Okay, so if by using calculus you can find the value of log 4 by 3 and log 4, and the base is 2. I think we all know how to calculate the value if the base is 2. Okay, so after calculating these values, I am getting the entropy is 0.81. Okay, so the answer is 0.81 bits per symbol. They given two possible events, one is occurring 0 or occurring 1. Find the probability and substitute in the entropy formula. Next, an FM signal at 10.7 megahertz IF needs to be digitized for demodulation in a digital domain. If the bandwidth of this signal is 200 kilohertz, then what is the maximum usable sampling frequency is? Okay, it's very simple. Once again, an FM signal is 10.7 megahertz needs to be digitized for demodulation in the digital domain. Then they mentioned the bandwidth also. The bandwidth of for this FM frequency they are asking. It is very simple. I am giving this to the participants. Can you answer? Can you post the answers to the chat box? They are given bandwidth. They are asking the sampling frequency. So the bandwidth is 200 kilohertz. Sampling frequency. Okay, no issues. So the sampling frequency is nothing but 2 times of bandwidth. It's very simple. So the sampling frequency is 2 times of bandwidth. So the bandwidth here is 200 kilohertz. So the sampling frequency should be 400 kilohertz. Okay. So the option is C. Next, a satellite system employs quadrature phase shift keying, modulation, QPSK modulation with 40 percentage excess bandwidth per carrier including guard band. The voice channels use 64 kbps PCM coding. Then find the number of channels supported by 36 megahertz bandwidth of the transponder in bandwidth limited case will be. Okay, so it's very simple. Now they are asking the number of channels, that's all. Okay, now they are following QPSK modulation scheme with 40 percentage excess bandwidth per carrier including guard band. Okay, then the voice channels used is nothing but 64 kbps. Now they are asking the number of channels supported by 36 megahertz. Okay, to get the answer for this question, we'll try to find out the bandwidth for single channel. Okay, so bandwidth for single channel is source rate, that is RB, information bit rate, by 2 into 1 plus XS, that is a guard band. RB by 2 into 1 plus alpha. Here the alpha is nothing but they mentioned 40 percentage. Okay, here the alpha is nothing but 40 percentage. So 40 by 100 is 0.4. So I have taken the alpha is 0.4 and RB bit rate for the input voice. So here they mention it is nothing but 64 kbps. So substitute that 64 kbps. By minimizing this numerical, I am getting the answer is for single channel the bandwidth is 44.8 kbps. Okay, for single channel the bandwidth is 44.8 kbps. Now they are asking the number of channels and the available frequency is 36 kilohertz bandwidth, sorry 36 megahertz bandwidth. Then number of channel is equal to 36 megahertz divided by bandwidth for each channel. Okay, hope you understand. Number of channel is equal to total bandwidth, that is 36 megahertz divided by channel bandwidth for each channel. So that we found in the previous case there is nothing but 44.8 kbps. Just substitute that value and find the number of channels. So it is approximately 802. So the answer is very close. The answer is 800. To find the number of channels, they given the they given the total bandwidth, that is nothing but 36 kilohertz. Now they are asking the number of channels. First try to find out the bandwidth for each channel. Okay, and then we can go for the formula. So the answer is B. Next, the direct questions. Hamming codes are used for, okay. So it's a digital communication concept. Hamming codes are is used for signal error correction. Next, that's another interesting one. A 1 milliwatt video signal having a bandwidth of 100 megahertz is transmitted to a receiver through a cable that has 40 dB loss. Okay, they're transmitting some signal with the power of 1 milliwatts over the bandwidth of 100 megahertz. Okay, while transmitting, the cable consumes power, that is a loss, that is nothing but 40 dB. If the effective one-sided noise spectral density at the receiver is 10 to the power of minus 20, then what will be the signal to noise ratio? Okay, some values are given in terms of numbers, some values are given in terms of dB. Okay, so first everything we should globally change it into some constant, same domain like dB or ordinary numbers. Okay, now they're asking the signal to noise ratio. We know the formula. So signal power, signal power. Here they are trying to transmit, trying to send 1 milliwatts. 1 milliwatts equivalent power is, equivalent dB value is minus 30 dB. Okay, I think we all know how to convert. That is 1 milliwatts is nothing but 10 log of 1 milliwatts. You can bring that minus 3 to the front. So minus 3 into 10 is minus 30, log 10 is 1. So the input power is minus 30 dB and the loss is minus 40 dB. So the total signal total signal input power is minus 70 dB. So this is input power. Now our objective is to find SNR. Okay, to find SNR we are in the need of noise power also. Okay, so the noise power formula is nothing but eta by 2 into bandwidth, that is 2b. So 2 will get cancels. So eta into bandwidth, where eta is nothing but noise power. They mentioned the noise power at the receiver side, it's 10 to the power of minus 20, that you can substitute. And they mentioned the beta is nothing but 100 megahertz. So 100 into 10 to the power of 6. I am getting 10 to the power of minus 12. Now the input power is it is in the form of dB. So we have to convert your noise force also in the form of dB. So since the value is 10 to the power of minus 12, the equivalent dB is minus 120 dB. Okay, now I got the signal power as well as noise power. Now the final objective of this question is we should go for SNR value, SNR in terms of dB. Now they are asking the SNR not in terms of ordinary number, they are asking in terms of dB. To find in terms of dB, so since it is log a by b is nothing but log a minus log b, that concept I used here. So SNR in terms of dB is equal to input power in terms of dB minus noise power in terms of dB. Input power is minus 70 minus of minus 120, which is nothing but 50 dB. This is your SNR value for the given question. So the answer is A. Now this also comes under mathematics as well as communication theory. The autocorrelation of a wide sense stationary random process is given by e to the power of minus 2 modulus of tau, the peak value of the spectral density. Okay, they are given autocorrelation, they are asking the spectral density. It is a well known concept. So to get spectral density we should take the Fourier transform of autocorrelation. Okay, if spectral density is given, if they are asking the autocorrelation, we can go for inverse Fourier transform. It's a vice versa. Okay, Fourier transform of autocorrelation spectral density, inverse Fourier transform of spectral density is autocorrelation. Okay, for this problem they are given autocorrelation, we should go for power spectral density. Okay, and that too at the peak value. So SXX power spectral density is given as Fourier transform of autocorrelation. Here Rxx of tau is nothing but e to the power of minus a tau. So if I take the Fourier transform, it's again well known formula. Fourier transform of e power minus a mod tau is 2a by omega square plus a square. If I compare this with the given formula, the value of a is equal to 2. So the answer is 2 into 2 divided by omega square plus a square, that is 2 square. So the answer is 4 divided by omega square plus 4. It is a ordinary spectral density of the given autocorrelation. But the question is find the peak value of spectral density. So the spectral density attains maximum or peak at omega is equal to 0. So substitute omega is equal to 0 in the spectral density equations. So Sxx of omega is equal to 4 by 0 square plus 4. So the answer is 4 by 4. So it is 1. Sxx of 0 is 1. Okay. So the answer is B. Next, in a binary source, zeros occurs 3 times as often as 1. What is the information contained in the ones? Okay. Now we saw a similar type of questions in the previous 2 to 3 questions back. That is about entropy. This is about information in ones alone. Okay. There is a difference in both the cases. Okay. Now once again we should go for the probability. They are given two events occurring 0 or occurring 1. The occurring 0 is nothing but 3 times as likely as occurring 1, which is nothing but 3 by 4, and the occurring of 1 is nothing but 1 by 4. Okay. Now they are asking the information contained in the ones alone. Okay. Now it is not a total information. So the information formula is log 1 by p. Okay, that's all. So the probability for occurring 1 is 1 by 4. So log base 2 of 1 by 1 by 4 is log 4 base 2, which is nothing but 2. Hope you understand. There is a difference between your ordinary entropy and information in the single occurring event. Okay. So it is only they are asking the information only in ones. So I can take 1 alone. If they are asking 0, I can go for log base to 1 by 3 by 4. Since they asked 1, I went with 1 by 4. Okay. So the option is D, 2 bit. Now this is a constellation diagram. Identify the modulation schemes for the shown signal constellation. So surely for any competitive exams, whether if it is GATE or ISRO or any other like TRB, TANGETCO, so participants or aspirants can expect one questions from the constellation diagram. Okay. So once again I am giving this choice to the participants to direct questions. What this the figure shows which modulation scheme. Okay, whether it is ASK, amplitude or frequency, or quadrature amplitude modulation, or minimum shift keying. Okay, that's the question they asked. Okay, it's well known. So there will be always minimal confusion with QPSK and MSK. They all will have 4 points. Okay, so here this modulation scheme represents minimum shift keying. Maybe in the future slides after 2 to 3 I will bring all QPSK, MSK and OQPSK everything together for the better understanding. So this constellation diagram represents minimum shift keying. Okay, here I brought two questions together. Which of the following modulation schemes require minimal power for transmission? Okay, they given 4 modulation schemes: QPSK, 8 PSK, 16 QAM, 64 QAM. Out of these 4 modulation schemes, which modulation schemes consumes low power for the transmission? Okay, and one of the important questions and easiest also. Okay, whenever they given this type of modulation schemes, always go for constellation diagram. Okay, for example, let us draw this. Okay, if it is QPSK, there will be 4 points, only 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is 8 PSK, then I should locate 8 points. Then if it is 16 QAM, I should go for 16 points. If it is 64, I should go for 64 points. Now find the distance between points, each points. Okay, if the distance between constellation points are huge, the power consumed is minimum. Okay, hope you understand. So the distance between constellation in the constellation diagram, if the distance between the points are maximum, the power consumption is minimum. So with this statement I can conclude that your QPSK will consume low power out of these 4 modulation schemes. If I take other three modulation schemes, the distance between the 2 points will be very closer compared to QPSK. Okay. So that is your first one. So QPSK will consumes low power. Next, which of the following channel coding schemes helps in the correcting burst error? Okay. So in the previous case we discussed about Hamming codes. Hamming codes is used for signal error correction. Here the burst error will be corrected by Reed Solomon. Okay, it's also direct questions. You can expect nearly 60 to 70% of questions directly from communication systems and digital communications. Okay, out of 10 questions, 6 will be 5 to 6 will be direct, another 4 to 5 will be, it is like a numerical type. So the option is D. Next, this also already we discussed. A 70 megahertz carrier is QPSK modulated by 1.544 Mbps T1 data stream. The transmitter employs raised a cosine filter with alpha is equal to 0.2. What is the transmitted bandwidth of the signal? Okay, so once again you can go recollect the previous slides. So just see the data is given. Okay, they given 70 megahertz carrier is QPSK modulated is 1.544 Mbps and they given alpha is equal to 0.2. Now simply they are asking the bandwidth. Okay, just now we gave the formula for bandwidth. The formula is equal to RB by 2 into 1 plus alpha. Okay, hope you remember this. Your bandwidth is equal to RB by 2 into 1 plus alpha, where alpha is equal to God band or excess. That values will be mentioned by alpha. In the previous case I mentioned it is 40 percentage. Now simply that given alpha is equal to 0.2 directly, so I can take that value and the information, sorry, RB bit rate is 1.544 Mbps, so that I can substitute. if if I minimize this numericals, I am getting bandwidth is equal to 926.4 kilohertz. So the answer is D. Next, another interesting one. The noise figure is 2. Input SNR is 37 dB. What will be the output SNR? Okay, it's a well known concept. Noise figure is equal to input SNR divided by output SNR. Okay, they given input SNR is 37, output SNR is equal to input SNR into noise figure. Then 37 dB into 2, then I should get 74 dB. But if I see the answers, none of the options are 74 dB. It means that we have to check your questions thoroughly. Okay, one of the parameters given in terms of dB and other parameters given in terms of ordinary number. Okay, so it's our duty to convert or to bring all the terms in the same unit. Okay, so now we'll go for noise figure. So since value is 2, the equivalent decibel value is 3. Okay, 10 log 2 is nothing but 3 dB. Okay, so noise figure is equal SNR input divided by SNR output. It's for the, this equation only for the normal scale, not for dB scale. If my measurements are in terms of dB, then your noise figure will be rewritten as noise figure in terms of dB is equal to SNR input in terms of dB minus SNR output in terms of dB. SNR input is nothing but 37 minus SNR output is unknown, that I should find it out. So from this equation I can conclude my output SNR in terms of dB is equal to 37 minus 3, that is nothing but 34 dB. So your option is B. Now, what is the limit of EB by N naught below which reliable communication is not possible? Okay, this is also direct questions and frequently asked questions. So the answer is minus 1.6 dB. Okay, below this we cannot go for reliable communications. The ratio is EB by N naught, bit error rate divided by noise power. That should be minimum of minus 1.6 dB. Next, a satellite communication link has the uplink CNR 50 dB hertz and downlink CNR 47 dB hertz. What would be the overall CNR? Okay, so it's all the direct questions. So the formula for overall CNR, 1 by CNR overall is equal to 1 by CNR uplink plus 1 by CNR downlink. Okay, now we can keep all these values since the directly they given CNR for uplink is 50 dB. Okay, for 50 dB the formula is 10 to the power of 5 in a normal case. Okay, for 47 dB it is nothing but 10 to the power of 4.7. I think we all well know about the conversions from normal number to dB and dB to normal numbers. Since they given 50 dB, I wrote 10 power 5. Since they given 47 dB, I wrote 10 to the power of 4.7. Now by using calc you can minimize these values and substitute and take the reciprocal, then I will get the normal number, that is 33,386 I am getting. But if I look into your answers options, nothing is like that. They given in terms of dB. So once again I should go for the dB conversions. 10 log of 33,386 is giving 45.23 dB. Okay, so the overall CNR in the satellite communication is 45.23 dB. Okay, now a communication channel is having a bandwidth of 3000 hertz or 3 kilohertz. The transmitted power is such that the received SNR is 1023. The maximum data rate that can be transmitted error free throughout the channel. Okay, it is indirectly once again channel capacity theorem. They mention bandwidth, they given SNR, they are asking the data rate, it's mean the channel capacity. Okay, you know the formula, channel capacity is equal to bandwidth into log base to 1 plus SNR. Bandwidth is given, SNR is given, directly you can substitute and find the value. Okay, so it is nothing but 30 kbps. Next, for a bit error rate of 10 to the power of minus 5, which modulation scheme will require minimal power? Okay, once I am repeating with the same questions but in different manner. In the previous case simply they given 4 different modulation schemes, they asked the which one consumes minimal power, but here they given some bit error rate. Okay, so if they asking like this, never consider the bit error rate, directly you can see the options. Out of 4 QPSK, 8 PSK, 16 PSK, 16 QAM, your QPSK constellation diagram, if you see the constellation diagram of your QPSK, that has the maximum distance between the points, so obviously a QPSK will be the minimal consumed power modulation scheme. Next, which modulation scheme would you suggest for high speed data transmission over a fading channel? Okay, whenever we are going for high speed data transmission, the only modulation scheme which we are preferring nowadays is nothing but OFDM, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. So that is the modulation scheme we are using while going for high speed data transmission. Yeah, now so identify the modulation schemes for the shown signal constellation diagrams. They are given 3 and we have to select the options. Okay, so the first one, it's nothing but it's a well known diagram, it is QPSK. Okay, and this one is MSK. Okay, this both are clearly notes. So if I see the options, the first one is QPSK, the last one is MSK, so which is nothing but option B. Okay, and this is the constellation diagram for orthogonal quadrature phase shift keying, that is OQPSK. So this is QPSK, this is OQPSK, and this is minimum shift keying. So the correct option is B. Okay, now I am giving this to the participants, you can try. If you have any queries you can post in the chat box or you can mail to me. Now which one is consumes low power out of this 3, QPSK or OQPSK or MSK? I told you the minimal power is can be determined by based on the distance between the points in the constellation diagram. Now see all the all the three figures and find the distance and check whether all these three will have the same power consumption or is there any variations. If there is any variations, why it's so? Just you try and come to us. As of now, for this question, they asked only the modulation schemes based on the constellation diagram. It is clearly understood. The first one is QPSK, the second one is OQPSK, the third one is MSK, which is nothing but option B. Okay. Next, high diagram. So high diagram in the communication systems gives the idea about modulation scheme, SNR, as well as clock jitter. Okay, high diagram will give the information about all these three. So the option is D, all the above. Okay, and the last one is a satellite communication link has both uplink and downlink CNR of 50 dB, and for both the case, what will be the overall CNR? Okay, so we know the formula 1 by CNR overall is equal to 1 by CNR uplink plus 1 by CNR downlink. Then if I calculate all these values, I am getting 47 dB as the answer. Okay. So once again, already we discussed this one. So a similar problem with the different numbers. That's all. Yeah. With this, I will close the day. So hope you understand. Hope you had a nice session. If you have any queries, you can send me through WhatsApp or mail. Any queries, participants can unmute yourself and you can ask. If not, we'll close the day. So I have taken all these questions from ISRO 17, 16, 15 and 14. Only this